analyze the reasons why we are in this situation, and then come up with concrete proposals as the SACP on what we think needs to be done if we are to turn the situation around. But the second related issue is the global situation, because the situation we are in cannot, economically in the country, cannot be be deassociated with what is happening globally. Maybe just one or two things, which of course we'll also be raising in the political report of the Central Committee, is that since we met, the world seems to have is not succeeding in dealing with the effects of the 2008 global financial meltdown. Instead, we are seeing new kinds of responses to that crisis and its impact. For instance, the rise of neo-fascist, right-wing formations, populist formations, and also a shift to the right in some instances. We note, for instance, that two of our BRICS partners who have got right-wing governments, that's India and Brazil. So we also note that there is some protest against neoliberalism in parts of the world, especially in Latin America. But at the same time, we are noting that the Trump administration is actually sponsoring movements to try and do away with progressive governments in Latin America. The trade wars, what are called trade wars, have got an impact on us. They have intensified since our last Congress. Of course, coming back to South Africa, if we are to deal with our economy, the situation has gotten worse with the state-owned enterprises. You take SAA, you take Eskom, as we are talking right now, we are on load shedding. There is not much improvement in the other SOEs, your Denels, your Transnet, and so on. But one of the things that we'll be discussing as the SACP is that where are we in our struggle to fight against state capture and corruption? That's going to also be a major issue for discussion. But now emphasizing maybe something new, that we don't want our fight against corruption and state capture to then be used by some inside our movement to want to take us back to neoliberalism and neoliberal solutions. We are against both the parasitic networks of state capture as we are against neoliberal solutions. Neoliberalism can just never be a solution. So as we fight and hopefully killing state capture, that can't be the reason then for new neoliberal looting networks to actually emerge. So then the Special National Congress then is going to say what has been in any case our developmental path and what needs to be done going forward from now. So those would be some of the key issues for discussion. But of course, we will also have to be evaluating our programs and our campaigns. We've been campaigning against gender-based violence. We have to evaluate whether that campaign is making an impact. We have for a long time now been campaigning for the transformation of the financial sector, which is a campaign that we feel is still relevant. Where are we in relation to those campaigns? And we had also resolved at our 2017 Congress to build a left popular front amongst others. We will also then be reporting as to where we are and then what do we need to do to take forward that. We'll also be assessing the state of the alliance. You'll remember one of our resolutions we had taken was that we do need the reconfiguration of the alliance. In other words, the alliance should reflect the challenges we face today, not the challenges we faced 20 or 30 years ago. We are going to be giving a report on discussions we've been having in the alliance on that matter, and Congress then also mapping a way forward. We had also we have a resolution on state power. We're going to be reporting. That resolution had asked us to draw a roadmap, and part of that roadmap was that since we are committed to the alliance, we need to focus on reconfiguration of the alliance, and that we would still prefer to campaign for elections under one ANC-led list. But hopefully under a reconfigured alliance, taking into account the new situation and all that. We have circulated our program. We are also going to be addressed by our allies. In fact, it's going to be the ANC tomorrow, and COSATU going to give a message of support. But as you can see, our program in essence is going to be the main reports that are going to be tabled is the political report that we will open with tomorrow, which will be seeking to capture a lot of these things I've mentioned, as well as the organizational report, which will also be looking at the state of our organization, our campaigns, as I've said, the state of the party structures and so on, our alliance. After which then we're going to devote a good part, the whole of Wednesday, to commissions. Whole day. Going to be focusing on the commissions, which will be discussing these main issues that I have tabled here, including what would have been raised in the political report and the organizational report. Of course, we always discuss our finances, so that as Congress we are able to review where we are. You know, do we have the resources that we need to put to drive our campaigns? That is the gist of what the Special National Congress would be about. I don't know if my comrades then want to add in case I've left something important.
Thanks, Chias. It appears my colleagues don't want to add. So you have covered the comrades. And then welcome to those colleagues of mine from the media who arrived while the Chias was speaking. So I will take this opportunity to allow you to ask questions, and we will reply to the questions for the leadership. You are the first one. You are the second one. I expected that because you arrived while the session had started. And we will not blame you for asking a question on something we have covered. Is there any other clarity-seeking question? Okay, thank you very much. Can Tabo help me with the microphone so that our other colleagues can hear?
Procedural from the SABC. Is there a possibility that this Special Congress might turn into an electoral Congress? Have there been calls for elections and a change of leadership?
Thank you very much.
Just to add, my colleague, I can see in your program here on the official admin, just a clarity-seeking question, but I don't see the president's name or anybody from the ANC. My second question would be, your reaction on the death of Ventura.
Good morning. My apologies for being late. Claudia from Business Day. I just wanted to add on to my colleague from the SABC's question with regards to whether this will turn into an elected conference. Will the SACP debating, as was reported in the Sunday Times, that the GS has to be a full-time position like the Secretary General in the ANC? And if so, GS, will you be staying in government if the Congress does decide to do that, or would you consider going full-time to the SACP? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I will ask the leadership, I will place the microphone. Let me place it here. You can speak, it will capture your voice.
Oh, it will capture.
So I'm just dealing with the negative feedback.
Hey, I'm tied to Chris, so I
Yes,
can't move because of the
this
chair.
is-
What?
Engineering skills does help us.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You can just speak aloud so
Okay.
that all the microphones capture your voice.
No, thanks, Comrade Alex. The first question regarding whether this Special National Congress will turn into an election, there's no possibility for such, because that will be against the rules and the framework of the constitution of the party. According to our rules, if a Congress, a Special National Congress, has to be elective, a number of provinces must make an official request to the Central Committee for such a consideration. So appropriate arrangements are then made. Our last meeting in September, the first week of September, which was an expanded meeting we call Augmented Central Committee, which involved all our district secretaries and other layers of party structures who are not necessarily members of the Central Committee, are invited to attend that meeting. There was no province that has made a formal submission for that. There was, however, an issue that was raised by one province regarding elective special Congress, and that meeting overwhelmingly rejected that idea. So because of that, it will not happen in this Special National Congress. So it's not like this notion that is created in public that Congress decides. Congress decides, but by rules. The rules of Congress have been determined and have been accepted by the party organization, and those are the rules that we'll comply with. I think the issue that was also raised regarding whether the GS should be full-time, this is a matter that has been discussed for a long time in the Communist Party, for many years, about whether the position of the General Secretary should be full-time or not. And the last Congress finalized on this matter on the basis that it will depend on challenges at that particular point in time, and the Central Committee will decide. So the Congress resolution from the previous Congress indicates that one or all of members of the Secretariat should be full-time. It doesn't say who should be full-time. For instance, the first the Deputy General Secretary and the second Deputy General Secretary, Comrade Chris, we are full-time on the basis of that resolution of Congress. In fact, it's now in the Constitution. It indicates that one or all must be full-time, but determined by the Central Committee. That determination has been made. 2 members of the Secretariat are full-time. There is a province that is made in our constitutional amendment propositions, a proposition that says all members of the Secretariat should be full-time, and all provincial members of the Provincial Secretariat should be full-time. You know also we have got 3 members of the Secretariat in provinces as well, and all other layers. So this is a proposal from one province. It will be subject to discussions by Congress, and even if such a decision had to be taken, it's not something that you then implement the next day. It doesn't work like that. So I think it's important that the media appreciate that process. But at the moment, that resolution has no seconder from any other province. I think the current arrangement is the one that will operate with until the next Congress.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, let me take the other questions. But since I've been asked personally, I must just say that no one amongst us here is serving here by force or wanting to be here that on our own. We're serving here because we are serving at the pleasure of the SACP, all of us, myself included. There is no one who is hogging a position to say, if the party says go, no one is going to say, we are not no. So that should be clear. That's why it shouldn't even be a Congress matter for that reason, you know, in order to be able to arrive at that. It's easy. Now, on the ANC, the speakers, unfortunately the president will be outside the country. He has engaged us and spoken to us about this and expressed his regret that he actually could not shift some of his international commitments. So that's why he is actually unlikely to come and address us. And the ANC, I think, will be forwarding the deputy president to come and address us. They've confirmed that he's going to come and address us. Now, the president has given us an explanation and we've accepted that he won't be able to make it. But as I have said, let me also take this opportunity. We've just received the sad news ourselves as the SACP about half an hour or so ago that our stalwart, Comrade Ben Churok, has unfortunately passed away. We wish to take this opportunity as the SACP to express our condolences to the immediate Churok family, but to his friends and comrades in the ANC. And broadly, Comrade Churok has been a stalwart of the movement as a whole. We shall sorely miss him because he was amongst those stalwarts who committed his entire life to the movement, in the service of the movement. Was an intellectual as well. He liked writing. He was, old as he was, editing a publication. We hope the publication will continue to make a contribution. We wish to salute him, his memory, as the South African Communist Party. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just to indicate, the program indicates when the ANC will be addressing the Congress. So normally it does not happen during the opening session, but it happens during the course of the program. So according to the program, the ANC will address the Congress on the 10th, which is tomorrow, just after lunch. So that will be after the two reports will have been presented, the political report followed by the organizational report. And then we will be taking messages from fraternal formations thereafter. Let me check if there is any further question. Yes. Let me open again for any further question before I declare you to be the last one. You are officially declared the last, unless you would like to follow up on your question.
My name is Baldwin. I've read your discussion document. And I've got the sense that you guys want to retreat from the 2017 decision to contest for state power. And when you read through the document, it says one of the reasons is that the factional battles within the ANC are more encouraging you guys to still remain in the alliance. Does it mean that for now you are going to park the decision to contest the upcoming 2021 local government elections as an independent?
Thank you. Would you like to add something just to follow up on your question before we answer. I'm trying to make the setting.
He was
You are the last one.
yeah.
I didn't have an opportunity of being a last born, So as the first born, you do everything. The last born is having all these other privileges. Okay. Sorry.
Baldwin, a simple answer to your question is that we are not retreating from any resolution of ours. If you read our resolution, it talks about that the SACP will contest elections. We've been doing that, by the way, since 1994. Well, to be quite accurate, we've been doing that way before 1994. I remember our late J.B. Marx was contesting a municipal seat not far from here in Germiston in the 1940s.
Yeah.
Brian Bunting as well was a communist MP. So we've always been. The difference is that after 1994 we said we'll contest elections in support of the ANC and we'll be part of the ANC electoral list. But the ANC must actually lead the list. So yes, we'll contest elections, and our resolution clearly says that we still believe in the relevance and necessity of the alliance. That's what our resolution says. But then our resolution directs us to say, however, we need to reconfigure the alliance. That's our preference. Contesting elections as part of an ANC list, but in a reconfigured alliance. That is why we've spent a lot of effort into engagements around the issue of reconfiguration. We don't want to preempt this because our delegates must have the first bite. We will be giving a report, though. Both in the political report, we will be signaling, and in much more detail in the organizational report, reporting back on how far we are with the process of reconfiguration, so that Congress will be able then to evaluate where we are. As to what that will translate to in relation to local government elections, the forthcoming, we will still be guided by the same resolution. That we would like to contest, we prefer to contest under one list because we believe the alliance is still necessary. If that doesn't happen, then Congress will be able to direct us as to what needs to happen. And also, I need to say this. People like to say, even those, by the way, I'm not saying, Baldwin, you're amongst those. I don't want you to misread me at all. I'm not referring to you. Even those who would like us to walk away from the alliance, they use this question to provoke us and say, yeah, you're scared. You're afraid to actually contest elections separately. We're not afraid of that. We have a much more important goal: to unite all the progressive forces under one banner of our alliance in order to take our country forward. We don't want to divide ourselves because as the SACP, we don't represent our jackets. We represent a class. We represent the working class of this country. And we don't want to divide ourselves. We still feel that we still need to be united in order to be able to move forward. The mere fact that someone was hinting at some of the tensions and divisions in the ANC, precisely also that necessitates that we try and do our best, for instance, to use the unity of the SACP to contribute to the unity of the alliance as a whole, as well as contribute to the unity of each of the components of the alliance and be able to move together. We think that would really just be opening things to our enemies in order if we are to say, for the sake of it, we must just dump and abandon this alliance. We still believe that the alliance is relevant. I hope that answers your question. Of course, Alex has given you an opportunity in case you are not satisfied, Bolton.
I thought just as
Yeah, you want to add? Sorry.
that was comprehensive, Baldwin. I think if you look at the theme of our Congress, it's called Build the Movement. Because we've been concerned largely about the state of our movement. The movement reflecting the African National Congress, the SACP, COSATU, SANCO, or the civic movement, and the progressive mass democratic movement, the youth congresses of our organizations, the student congresses, and so forth, and other professional bodies that are aligned with the framework of our national liberation movement. So we can't commit ourselves to that task and seek to simply walk away. So we have to attempt all avenues possible to strengthen the movement in order to strengthen our revolution. That is why in these 2019 elections we said our main task is to ensure that the national liberation movement does not lose power. On the contrary, we consolidate that power and deepen it in order to advance our interests, the interests of the people of our country, the social transformation program. So I felt that just to add that so that it's also reflected here on our theme. It's not a retreat in whatever way, not at all.
Thank you very much for the session. We will meet again. Thank you. We will advise you as to when we will have a press briefing of this nature.
Well, the SACP indeed confirming that they will contest the next set of elections, and of course even saying that they do believe then in the necessity of the alliance predicated of course by the ANC, and of course willing to join in with the ANC in that regard, and they hold firm with regards to still being part of that alliance. Many questions of course being asked around the necessity of it, the need for it, and why exactly it is still around. Well, the SACP seems to think it is still a necessary cog to South Africa's economic and political system.
The discussion documents you referred to, Baldwin, and then the second one today that we gave you is this one, the program. We are going to give you the Alliance Common Reconfiguration paper. At an appropriate time, we will give you the political report. We will give you the organizational report. We are going to give you a copy of our response to the National Treasury's economic blueprint in inverted commas. We will give you. And then there are many other documents that we are going to be giving you, dealing with policies, dealing with party direction, dealing with country direction. And thank you will be your contact person in that regard, will be the coordinator of your package. Thank you very much for arriving. Those who have not yet been accredited, please be accredited. The presentation of the political report is going to be an open session. In 2017, we opened the presentation of the organizational report, and in the program we did not close it. So more likely we will maintain it as an open session unless we advise you otherwise. And then we will take you through other sessions that will be opened and others that will be closed. This is going to be our room as the media. Unless things changes the venue. Thank you very much. You are welcome to remain here. You are welcome to go to the office. Please remain with us in terms of coverage until the closure of the Congress on Thursday. Thank you.
No, thanks, comrades. Alex, engathi this lady is not satisfied.
She's a communist.